Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Oh, my head. Lynn Lay groaned and blinked open her eyes, frustration rising. Her gaze swept over the room. A rickety old table to the left, a rock-hard mattress beneath her, and a thin, worn-out quilt over her. Where was she? She tried to sit up, but her body felt incredibly heavy. She struggled for a moment, confused. Her hand didn't feel like hers. It was broader, darker, plumper. Her fingers probed her own arms and waist, only to discover layers of unfamiliar fat. A thick ring of flesh clung to her midsection. What the hell happened? She couldn't have become this overweight overnight. And where exactly was she? The last thing she remembered was being betrayed by her teammates, ambushed by the zombie emperor himself. None of this made sense unless Lynn Lay had read enough web novels to recognize the signs. A sudden change in surroundings and body? This had all the hallmarks of transmigration. She didn't need a mirror to confirm it. Everything around her was too old, too clean, untouched by the polluted air and toxic water of the apocalypse. She inhaled deeply and almost cried. The air was fresh. In her previous life, she'd been a level 5 dual-element user, ice and fire. If not for a moment of carelessness, she wouldn't have fallen in battle. Her biggest regret was forgetting about her hidden trump card, her spatial power, before dying with the zombie emperor. Wait, had she transmigrated into her space? Most thought she only wielded elemental abilities. Few knew she also possessed a spatial ability bound to a jade pendant fused with her body. Her heart twisted. Su, her closest friend, had pushed her. After a decade of surviving together, why? Was it because of him? A fresh wave of pain throbbed in her head, and her lips felt dry and cracked. She was parched. Suddenly, the door banged open. A tall man in a patched cotton coat entered, holding a metal lunchbox. She froze. Who was he? What was his connection to this body? Their eyes met. Though his face was tanned, even rough, his features were striking, sharp and defined. He had to be at least 1.8 meters tall. He set the lunchbox on the table with an annoyed look. Eat. I agreed to your terms. The report's been handed in. Stop torturing yourself. This body is yours now. If you keep wrecking it, you're the one who suffers. So what's the point? With that, he turned to leave. Wait. Lynn Lay forced herself to sit up, voice shaky. Who are you? Where's this? And who am I? The man paused with the door half open, sighed, and looked back. Lynn Lay, eat your food. It'll help. How about work this afternoon? If you want answers, wait until I get back. Then he shut the door and left. Lynn Lay. That was her name, too. What was happening? She didn't even get to ask the important questions. So what if he was handsome? That attitude was unbearable. Her stomach growled in protest, reminding her that anger wouldn't fill her belly. She opened the lunchbox. Rice, braised meat, stir-fried cabbage. In the old world, it was ordinary. But after the apocalypse, clean water was too rare to grow vegetables. Cabbage was a delicacy reserved for the lucky few in large bases. Lynn Lay devoured everything, even the last drop of soup. After eating, a wave of exhaustion crashed over her as she slumped back into bed, unconscious. In her sleep, she relived the memories of the body's original owner. Shockingly, the girl's name was also Lynn Lay. A village girl, a simple life, loving parents and a brother. A happy family, until tragedy struck. Earlier that year, her brother had died saving someone. That someone was Song Yi, the man who had just walked out. To repay the life debt, Song Yi had offered to care for the family like a son. The original Lynn Lay had fallen for him. He was handsome and refined, nothing like a rural worker. She pestered her parents all night until they finally gave in, believing Song Yi to be a decent man with a sense of gratitude. They made a proposal, become their son-in-law. Astonishingly, Song Yi agreed. Just like that, they were married. Was this some kind of heavenly joke? As Lynn Lay delved deeper into the memories, she learned the original owner had struggled to find suitor. At 18, she'd never received a proposal, not because of her age, but because of her size. She was big, had a fierce temper, and could outfight the village boys. Her family loved her, but others feared her. Even without a dowry, no one wanted to marry someone so formidable. Her brother's sacrifice had given her the chance to marry. But was it love or obligation? Lin Lei sighed. Her new life was nothing like her old one, and yet somehow it had begun. What a strange, twisted fate. Lin Lei could more or less piece things together. Song Yi had clearly considered the consequences of this sudden marriage. What he hadn't anticipated, however, was the original owner's fiery and unyielding personality. Originally, he had only applied for a short leave, 3 days at most, to visit his family. The marriage had happened in a hurry, with no time for ceremony or sentiment. On the very day they wed, he had to rush back to work at the steel factory. There hadn't even been a chance to consummate the marriage. Before leaving, Song Yi gave a short explanation to his newlywed wife. There's still unfinished business at the factory. I'll come back when I can get another leave. The original Lin Lei didn't blame him. She stayed behind at his home, now hers, with the rest of the Song family. The household had 8 members. Song Yi's elder brother, Song Chung, was married to Li Hui, a woman from the same village. She was decent at heart, but quite frugal, a trait not unusual for rural wives in this era. Song Yi was the second son. The third son, Song Jian, was 2 years younger than the original Lin Lei and still studying in town. There was also a younger sister, Song Qian, just 14 years old. Their parents, Song De and Tang Shufan, were the heads of this large and tightly packed household. It was no wonder families of this era seemed to multiply like rabbits. In modern times, raising so many children would be exhausting beyond belief. But having a big family also meant constant struggles, especially when food was rationed and there were no separate households. The original Lin Lei had a hearty appetite. In fact, a few days earlier, the family had been living off banquet leftovers, which she had happily finished. Once those were gone, they returned to their usual fare: porridge with pickled vegetables in the morning, almost nothing at noon, and sparse dinners. Dinner typically consisted of thin stir-fries with barely any oil and a shared rice pancake. Even though the food wasn't enough, she was too embarrassed to ask for more. 3 days later, she returned to her own mother, Li Chiyue, and confided in her. As someone who had experienced marriage and in-laws, her mother advised patience. You've only just married. Don't linger here too long, or they won't like it. Go back before dark. Obediently, she returned to the Song household. But as she stepped inside, she was surprised to see the entire family gathered around eating dumplings. It wasn't a holiday, so why dumplings? She felt confused. Just a few days ago, the meals were so bland. Now, suddenly, everyone was enjoying meat-filled dumplings? Because she had insisted on marrying Song Yi, the original Lin Lei dared not question it. She silently accepted the scene. In truth, the family had planned this. Her large appetite had always been a sore spot. Taking advantage of her absence, they cooked dumplings for themselves. Now that she was back, each person reluctantly gave up 2 dumplings, just enough to fill a plate. Li Hui, her sister-in-law, brought it over. The original Lin Lei wasn't very clever or suspicious, so she took it as a kind gesture. Though the portion was small, the filling was cabbage and meat, a rare treat usually reserved for New Year's. That night, she awoke to use the bathroom. On her way back, she heard voices from the neighboring room. Mom, Song Qian grumbled. Why did that fat thing have to come back early? I'm still hungry. How would I know? Tang Shufan snapped. No wonder she's so fat. Your second brother is a fool. Her family begged him to marry her, and he agreed. His salary's 20 yuan a month. With 5 yuan, we could have eaten meat all week. Then what do we do? She eats like a cow. If she stays here, we'll never get to eat properly again. The money from my eldest brother's family is only enough for them. My other brother doesn't earn anything and still studies. We can't drive her out, Tang Shufan said, growing impatient. And we can't split up the family either. Why not? You idiot. Tang Shufan snapped. Song Yi sends his wages home. If he separates from us and moves out, he'll have to give her money. That would mean less for us. Use your brain. You're about to get married yourself. Think before you speak, or you'll suffer later. Not wanting to be scolded further, Song Chin quickly tried to change the subject. Okay. Then we can't split the family, and we can't send her away either. What a headache. I'm going to sleep. As Song Chin left, Tang Shufan remained restless, turning and sighing. Old man, what do we do now? There's barely enough room. We even gave her a separate room. When Songy came back before, he would just squeeze in with us. Now, our daughter's room is hers. Songda, woken from sleep, grumbled. What can we do? Tell her to let our daughter share the room. She's family now. Stop being so dramatic. Song-yi got married without even asking us. Tang Shufan fumed. And we're the ones who have to adjust. Are you done yet? Songda snapped. You've got work in the morning. Back in her room, the original Lin Lei had heard every word. The truth hit her like a hammer. They didn't care for her at all. Not as a family member. Not even as a person. They simply saw her and Song-yi as income. She hadn't been clever enough to fully understand before, but the seeds of resentment had taken root. That was the moment she began insisting on splitting the family. Now, in Lin Lei's hands, those memories felt like warnings. This family had schemed against Song-yi in the past, and now they were doing the same to her. They never saw either of them as kin, only as walking wallets. As expected, when a family had too many children, favoritism was inevitable, and cruelty just as certain. The next day, Lin Lei saw that there was very little rice in the bowl on the dining table. The water in the bowl was indeed more than half of the bowl. She could not help but say something. Point 2. Mother's rice is so thin that I can't eat my fill. 2. Tang Shufan threw the pickled vegetable plate on the table. Point 2. Can't eat my fill? You're not the only one who can't eat your fill. How can we eat our fill? Why don't you do anything at home? Do you only think about eating? Are you a pig? No wonder you're so fat. My son is so unlucky to have married you for a lifetime. 2. The words were too harsh. In fact, Sonda also said casually that he could not eat his fill. Point 2. My child is not full. Tomorrow, you cook more and add more rice to the pot. Isn't that enough? 2. Lin Lei looked left and right and spoke. Point 2. Why don't we split up? I'll cook this food myself. This way, my mother-in-law won't have to worry about me. 2. She thought to herself, if I don't eat your rice, you won't have the right to criticize me. 2. Tang Shufan looked at her with contempt. Point 2. Split up? Do you have food to eat? Can you farm? What can you do? Do you know how to cook? 2. She was so fat that she definitely wouldn't work at home. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She had just entered the house and was already thinking about splitting up. Why didn't she stuff herself to death? Lin Lei was so angry that she put the empty bowl on the table. Point 2. I can learn things that I don't know. You can just give me the money Song-yi sent. I can go out and live alone. You don't have to worry about it. 2. When Tang Shufan heard this, she slammed the table angrily. Point 2. Why should I give you the money my son earns? You want to split up after 3 days. Let me tell you, I don't agree. If you mention splitting up again, you can quickly pack up your junk and get lost. 2. Her mother-in-law was so angry that she bared her teeth and brandished her claws. Li Hui, who was at the side, smiled like a tiger. Point 2. Sister-in-law, I don't want to criticize you. I've been in the family for 3 years, and I haven't broken up with anyone. Why do you want to split up? Other families only split up after losing their elders. It's impossible for our family to be split up now. We'll be laughed at by the villagers. Don't you understand? As expected, you're still too young. You always think of yourself as free and unfettered. If everyone was like you, would you still let the elders in the village live? 2. Lin Lei heard what they said, and in a moment of anger, she flipped the table. Point 2. Why? Just because I'm Song-yi's wife, and my brother lost everything because he saved Song-yi, does this family have to be split up? Without my brother, Song-yi wouldn't be here. Think about it. I'm your family's great benefactor. 2. Songda stood up and shouted loudly. Point 2. Second brother's family. What do you want to do? If this family isn't divided, I'll still be in charge. It's not your turn, 2. All right, don't force me. I'm not easy to bully. After saying that, she slapped the solid wooden table with one hand, and it actually cracked, too. Lin Lei turned around and went out of the house, leaving everyone dumbstruck. They all stared at the cracked table. Point 2. You, old man, quickly send a telegram to tell your son to come back. Tang Shufan was so angry that she was trembling. Who would have thought that Lin Lei would be so strong that the solid wooden table would crack, just like that? It was too scary. Point two. Even if mother sent a telegram, I might not have a holiday, even if I wanted to come back. The factory is very busy, you know. Song Qian was so scared that she was crying. This sister-in-law was too scary. Last night, her father wanted to let them stay in the same room. She didn't want to. If sister-in-law went crazy, strangling her to death was like playing with her. Point two. Girl, you're right. This time, I heard from my son that he's going to be promoted to deputy factory director. Speaking of which, if it wasn't for Lin Feng's help, Song Yi wouldn't have been able to come back. After saying that, Song decided. He felt that his family had really married an ancestor. Now, he couldn't send this ancestor back. He was really worried to death. Point two. The fact that Lin Lei had smashed the table without a word frightened the old Song family. Point two. Is there anyone at home? Is Shufan at home? Two. The door was pushed open from the outside. An aunt wearing a black jacket and blue pants came in. It was the neighbor next door, Aunt Lu. When Lu Ying entered and saw that the house was full of wolves, she couldn't help but sigh. Point two. What's wrong? Why you look so awful? I heard your family arguing in the courtyard just now, so I came to take a look. Two. Lin Lei heard someone coming from the house and suddenly wanted to hear what they had said after she left. So she quietly opened the door and eavesdropped. It's that second daughter-in-law. She wants to split up the family and hit the table. Look, the table is broken. Tang Shufan touched her chest after she finished speaking and finally calmed down. Point two. As expected, the rumor is true. Yesterday, my married daughter came home. Her aunt came to my house. When we were chatting, I told them that Xiao Yi is marrying Lin Lei. Lu Ying said excitedly. Point two. Guess what my daughter's aunt said? You'll never guess. Two. What did she say? Aunt, you're going to say it's so worrying. Li Hui anxiously grabbed Aunt Lu's arm with all her strength. Point two. Aunt Lu felt a pain in her arm and quickly pulled it away. As she rubbed her arm, she said, Hui, you pinched Aunt's flesh. Her aunt said that Lin Lei's name was known in her village and several nearby villages. She could eat and fight, and she could eat 2 jin of grain in a meal. When she was 10 years old, she dared to beat up the village's old thief, Erlotzi. That Erlotzi had been stealing for years. No one caught him, and Lin Lei, a 10-year-old girl, took care of him. Every family in Lin village knows about this. 2. Hearing Aunt Lu's words, everyone in the Song family couldn't help but gasp. Lin Lei was really too scary. Was it too late to return the goods now? In order to save money, he had married an ancestor. If he had known earlier, he would have asked around. He regretted listening to Tang Shufan's one-sided words. Song decided. Point two. What should we do? Our son isn't at home. Our boss has to go out to work every day. It's useless even if our third brother is at home. It's just a few of us. Sigh, too. He didn't say the next sentence. If Lin Lei wanted to deal with them, it would probably be a matter of a few punches. Song Qian's face was pale. Father, I think we should split up, too. That damn fatty was so scary. If they did not split up, it was hard to guarantee that something big would not happen. It was unlikely that anyone in this family could beat her, except for her second brother. Point two. Tang Shufan's eyes were wide open. Split up? No way. Besides, your second brother wants to give her money. What are you guys going to do? Your third brother is studying, and the girl has to prepare her dowry. At the time, your second brother said that her family did not want the dowry, and I was so happy for the whole night. Who knew it would be such a piece of trash, too? Her heart was full of regret. Stealing a chicken did not work out. If she had known earlier, she would have let that little B asterisk star stay single, too. Li Hui smiled. How about this? First, I'll send a telegram to Song Yi and ask him to come back when he has time. Then, I'll try my best to satisfy her during these few days. When Song Yi comes back, I'll try my best to get a divorce between the two of them. Father and mother, what do you think, too? She had already made up her mind. This year, her aunt had originally wanted to bring her cousin, Li Min, to Song Yi, but in the end, Cheng Yaojin suddenly appeared out of nowhere and accepted the 50 yuan. She had even had to send it back. It was practically cutting off her flesh. Therefore, She decided that she had to ruin their marriage. Such a good man, why wasn't he hers, too? Tang Shufan nodded. This is the only way. She glanced at the old man and knew that he was angry, so she didn't say anything more. Point two. When she heard this, Lin Lei closed the door and thought, sure, your family schemed against me. Your son didn't consummate our marriage. Your parents and siblings schemed to eat and drink, and my family didn't want the dowry because they didn't want Song Yi and me to be unhappy. 2. Before she got married, her mother even gave her 100 yuan as a last resort. She didn't want to tell anyone, but this comparison made her want to get a divorce. If I'll kill you all, I'll eat you all to death, too. From this day on, the original owner, Lin Lei, was going to kill Song Yi's family. She did not wash their clothes and ate meat for every meal. Other than going to the toilet, she did not come out. If she resisted, she would hit the table. 2 of the tables were broken, and her weight had increased by 140 kilograms. It was not until 2 months later, when Song Yi returned, that he took the original owner back to the steel factory, despite his family's objections. Point 2. The original owner was not used to the weather in the city from her hometown. She had a fever and was causing trouble with Song Yi, making it impossible for him to work. Once she fell asleep, he could begin. Point 2. Lin Lei's general opinion was, this girl is also a real person. However, if she didn't make trouble, she wouldn't be able to come. 2. Thinking about how she could leave the post-apocalyptic world, she didn't have to worry about what to eat, how many zombies to kill, and clean water to drink every day. Point 2. She stretched out her hand and sat up, slowly moving along the bed to stand up. Her head was still a little dizzy, and it was obvious that the sky was going to turn dark soon. Sigh, I must be over 160 pounds. How lazy and gluttonous must I be to have grown so much fat? 2. She did not know what he looked like. The house was not big. It had 2 rooms and a living room. The living room was not big, and there was basically no furniture. It looked like he had just moved in. There was a small room in the middle, which should be the bathroom. Point 2. Lin Lei moved over to settle some important matters in her life. She looked at the wall. There was a small mirror left behind. It was very shabby, and she could barely her reflection. Point 2. She looked at the chubby face in the mirror. Her face was not black. Her eyelids were double-lidded, and the bridge of her nose was very high. Her 2 big braids were quite festive. Her face would probably look better if it was thinner. 2. She washed her face, combed her hair, and stopped showering. She was still in a daze, so she didn't want to faint. Point 2. She simply wiped her body and went out to look for clothes. Point 2. When she opened her bag, everything was either red or green. She simply couldn't bear to look at it. It was easy to find pants, but now that she was wearing baggy shorts in summer, the clothes were really not decent. She barely managed to find shirt to wear, and the underwear seemed to be just 2 small vests. The one she took off just now was obviously small and very tight, and the one in her hand was obviously even smaller. In an instant, she was worried again. How would she live the rest of her life? 2. After putting on her clothes, she looked around. Although the room was small, everything was there. The furniture was a little shabby. It was probably left behind by the previous owner. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Sister, are you home? Open the door. 2. The woman's voice was not loud, but it felt gentle. Calling her sister, did she know the original owner? Lin Lei opened the door. She saw a woman in her 30s standing outside the door. Her face was very dark, but she looked very delicate and pretty. She was holding a bag in her hand. Sister, my surname is Wang. My name is Wang Mei. I live next door to you. Our husbands are in the same class. 2. Oh, Sister Wang, please go inside and sit down. Don't stand outside the door, Lin Lei said as she opened the door, wanting to let her in. Point 2. Don't worry, sister. I still have to go home to cook. This bag is for your family. It's for cooking. I know you just moved in, so there'll be nothing at home. 2. After saying that, the sister pushed the bag in front of Lin Lei, afraid that she would not take it. Point 2. It's nothing special, just some home-cooked food. In our place, anyone who moves here will be given something. This is the etiquette of the place, too. Big sister, I'm so sorry. Lin Lei deliberately declined. Point 2. Who knew what kind of relationship they had? She had just come here and did not know anything. Point 2. Sister, just accept it. Wang Mei's attitude was very sincere. Point 2. The woman's expression was determined. It would not be good if she did not take it. In the end, Lin Lei decided to accept it. When she had looked at the kitchen just now, there was nothing. She did not know what she was going to cook for dinner. Point two. Thank you, big sister. I'll tidy up the house some other day and invite you to dinner. Big sister, you must come too. Lin Lei thought about it. Regardless of the purpose of sending something, she should treat the other party to a meal. When Wang Mei heard Lin Lei's words, she was happy. This song, he heard that he was going to be promoted to deputy director soon, and he was going to be Li Jian's leader soon. 2 days ago, she had wanted a visit. Later, she heard from Li Jian that Lin Lei was sick the moment she arrived, so she didn't dare to disturb her. Okay, sister, I'll go home and cook. If you need any help, let me know. I'll be upstairs, too. Seeing that Wang Mei had turned around and gone upstairs, Lin Lei closed the door. She placed the bag on the table and opened it. There was a cabbage and a few potatoes. There were some onions, ginger, garlic, and a small piece of bacon. Point two. It seemed that Big Sister Wang had put in some effort to deliver the food. These were all needed now, and it was just enough to make a dish. Lin Lei went to the kitchen and took a look. There was oil, salt, soy, and vinegar in the cupboard. There were also bowls, chopsticks, and pots that were quite complete, but she could not find any rice. Song, he probably did not expect to start cooking so soon. Point two. She looked at the sky. At this time of the apocalypse, everyone had started cooking. Lin Lei took Wang Mei's things to the kitchen. In the apocalypse, they basically ate biscuits and some compressed food. Rice and vegetables were not easy to obtain. Point two. This was Lin Lei's first time cooking after leaving the apocalypse. She thought that she must have a good meal. First, she sliced the cabbage, preserved meat, onions, and ginger into shreds. Point two. She opened the liquefied gas and placed the pot on it. It was an old-fashioned liquefied gas tank. Lin Lei remembered seeing it at her grandmother's house when she was a child. She used a match to light the fire and placed it on top. Then, she opened the liquefied gas and the flame lit up. Point two. She put the oil and the shredded ginger and onion inside. After the fragrance had come out, she added the preserved meat, stir-fried it, and added the cabbage. She stir-fried it for a while to make the cabbage soft. Then, she added water, soy sauce, and salt. Finally, she boiled the soup and it was ready to simmer. It had been a long time since she had cooked. Her technique was a little stiff, but it still looked good. Before the dishes were out of the pot, Lin Lei tidied up the house again. She also mopped the floor, thinking about what she could do without rice. Point two. Lin Lei returned to the house and rummaged through her bag. There was a handkerchief inside. Lin Lei opened it and looked at a total of more than 120 yuan. She thought about her salary of more than 30 yuan a month. She estimated that a kilogram of rice should be around a few cents. Lin Lei took 5 yuan and knocked on the neighbor's door. The person who opened the door was about 20 years old. She had short hair and was about 165 in height. She was slightly thin and wore a blue floral shirt and black pant. Point two. Sun Li looked at the person who knocked on the door and asked, "Who are you looking for?" 2. Lin Lei smiled. "Hello, I just moved in next door. I don't have any rice to cook at home. Do you have any at home? Can you sell some to me?" 2. She quickly explained her purpose of coming here, afraid that people would think that she was here to borrow rice. In this era, grain was not very expensive. Unlike in the 20th century, there were grain stores everywhere, and rice could be bought at the supermarket. Point two. Sun Li knew that Lin Lei was here to pick up the rice. Point two. "My name is Sun Li. My husband's surname is Wang. I don't have much rice at home. I'll go get a bowl for you. Just go out and buy tomorrow and return it to me." 2. Sun Li turned around and went back to the house to get some rice. Lin Lei waited for a while. She thought to herself that if she were to return the rice tomorrow, she would definitely order more. Sun Li came back very quickly with a big porcelain bowl in her hand. Point two. "Here, just return the bowl to me tomorrow. I'm going to cook now. The child's father will be back soon." 2. "Okay, sister Sun, you go back and cook." 2. Lin Lei looked at the big bowl. It was probably enough to eat. She was very grateful for Sister Sun's help. She thought to herself, if this was in the post-apocalyptic world, killing people for a bowl of rice would be a common thing. Point two. It was really a blessing to leave the post-apocalyptic world. This was something that people who had not experienced it would not feel. When she went back, the pot was already cooked. She washed the rice. She did not know how much Song Yi ate, so she simply boiled it. She had been sleeping for the past 2 days and did not seem to have eaten anything. Today, she ate some lunch, and now her stomach was growling with hunger. Point 2. Song Yi opened the door and smelled the aroma of food. He was curious as to how she cooked when there was nothing at home. When he saw that Lin Lei had gotten up in the afternoon, he had bought some rice and vegetables in the cafeteria and prepared to go home to cook. Point 2. Song Yi looked at the busy Lin Lei and asked, "Are you feeling better? How did you cook? Where did the food come from, too?" When Lin Lei heard the voice, she realized that Song Yi had come back. He was so busy thinking that no one knew she had entered the room. Point 2. The dishes were sent by Wang Mei from upstairs. I was too embarrassed to refuse. I've already made an agreement with her that I'll treat her to a meal in the future. The rice was borrowed from sister's son next door. She said to return the bowl with rice tomorrow. 2. Song Yi looked at Lin Lei, who was speaking in high spirits. He felt like a different person. Previously, he had not dared to look closely at her at home. It was either red or green. Every time he looked at her, he would turn his head away. Point 2. It was fine if she was a little fatter. He had never felt that fat women were bad. Lin Feng had sacrificed himself to save him. He had originally planned to support his family for the rest of his life. When he made the decision at that time, he had already thought of being single for the rest of his life. No woman would be willing for her man to support another family. Point 2. In the end, on the second day after he went to Lin Feng's house, Lin Feng's father said that he hoped that he would marry Lin Lei. His family did not want any betrothal gifts. He hoped that Song Yi would be able to provide for them in the future. If they had children in the future, having a surname of Lin would be enough. Song Yi thought about it and agreed. It was time for him to get married. However, he did not think that Lin Lei would be so capable of causing trouble. "Oh, you can decide the family matters as you see fit. Today I bought some rice and vegetables from the canteen. There's also 20 yuan here. You should use it sparingly. If you want to buy anything, you can get it in a few days when you're feeling better. Then, you can take the bus to buy it. This place is quite remote. Usually you go out to buy or open the door to grow your own vegetables." 2. Looking at the man who spoke in front of her, he looked quite good and spoke very thoughtfully. Could it be that she had transmigrated here just to spend the rest of her life with him? No, if she were to go back 20 years, the apocalypse would probably happen again. Thinking of the cruelty of the apocalypse, Lin Lei frowned. She really didn't want to experience it again. Lin Lei felt that the first problem to be solved was her current identity. Her stomach protested, preventing her from continuing to let her imagination run wild. Point 2. Song Yi, eat first. After you finish eating, I have something to tell you. 2. Song Yi watched Lin Lei silently eat with a bowl and chopsticks. The food tasted pretty good. It was rare for her to eat such delicious food. Point 2. The reason why the food was not usually delicious was that she was not careful when cooking. Lin Lei was obviously careful. Point 2. No, didn't her mother say that she did not know how to do anything? Was there something that she did not know? Lin Lei ate very seriously. She basically cannot hear any sound. From her newly combed hair to her clean clothes, she immediately gave off a different feeling. The collar of her shirt was very big, and from this angle, one could see the snow-white softness, too. Song Yi's face was hot. What was wrong with him? He had never been like this before. He was afraid that Lin Lei would notice something, so he immediately looked away whilst eating. Point 2. After eating, Lin Lei simply tidied up the dishes in the kitchen. She calmed herself down and planned to tell Song Yi about her plans for a divorce. In her heart, Song Yi was not bad, but she was not the original owner. The original owner liked Song Yi, and she did not. In her eyes, Song Yi was a stranger whom she had met twice. Point 2. Song Yi, let me get a divorce, too. Song Yi was still daydreaming about Lin Lei when he suddenly heard Lin Lei's words and was stunned. What's going on? She was the one who wanted to get married, and now she wants a divorce. Why was it that now the entire village knows about it? She wants a divorce, too. Could it be that she came here to see the hardships of the environment and regrets not liking me? It was said that women were fickle and changed every day, too. What's the fuss now? Didn't I promise you that I'd consummate the marriage with you when you're feeling better? What's the fuss now? Didn't I explain earlier that I was in a hurry to return to the steel factory? 2. Consummate the marriage. That was a bolt from the blue. He had just woken up and said that he would agree. He was talking about this matter. Having sex with him, too. She could not consummate the marriage and did not have any feelings for him. She came from the 21st century. Although that era was a very open era, she had not had anything to do with any man. Point 2. Before the apocalypse broke out, there were many girls and many boys. She was pretty, but because of her high ability, no one dared to have any ideas about her. Because she said that the only person she wanted to marry was a woman. If anyone wanted to change her heart, she would kill them. So, she was always a single dog. When she died, she was still a virgin. Now that she thought about it, too. I said that in a fit of anger. I know that your family doesn't like me. They think that I eat too much, but I can work. Why shouldn't I have enough to eat every day? 2. Lin Lei recounted the incident without blushing or panting. Consummating a marriage definitely wouldn't work. Although Song Yi wasn't bad, it definitely wouldn't work before she fell in love with him. Point 2. Not giving you food to eat? Don't I send money home? I sent 30. In the past, I only sent 15 or 22. Song Yi felt that this was a little too much from his family. 30 yuan was enough for several people to eat. Lin Feng was gone because he had saved him. If he wasn't around, there wouldn't be anyone at home to send money. Point 2. When I went back home, my mother asked me to go back early to help your family farm. So be it, I hadn't packed much, so I came back here. When I got back, I saw everyone eating dumplings when I entered the house. Later, my sister-in-law sent me dumplings. I thought they had leftovers, so I ate them. In the end, I heard them say bad things about me in the middle of the night. 2. In order to not consummate the marriage and to avenge her predecessor, Lin Lei told him everything. They said I ate too much. No wonder I was so fat. They said it was a loss to have married me. My mother-in-law even said I took the room. In their eyes, I'm just an outsider who married into the family. 2. Song Yi listened with mixed feelings. Can I eat? He had sent money. Not only was his wife able to eat, but the entire family was also able to eat. Since the family hadn't split up, he had to earn his own money and hand it over to his parents. His elder brother had given all the money he earned from his marriage to his wife, and he was even partnering with his parents to eat. Point 2. He wasn't at home and couldn't control them, but he had clearly sent money, and they were treating his wife like this. He couldn't help but clench his fists in anger. He had originally thought that the attitude of his family towards him had changed. Now that he thought about it, it actually hadn't changed. It was just that they had gone back less often, so they could pretend. Song Yi said, "You didn't tell me these things when I got home. I only heard from my mother that you smashed 3 tables with great strength. Is that true, too?" Although his wife was very fat and looked very strong, he still felt that it was unlikely. The tables at home were made of solid wood. If he wanted to smash them, he would need to put in a lot of effort. Hearing these words, Lin Lei blushed for the original owner. Her body was indeed very strong. She was carrying over 200 kilograms of excess weight. Point 2. However, this was also good. If a woman was weak, she would not feel safe. Point 2. It's true. My strength is no less than my brother's. Since I was young, no one in the village has been able to beat me. Of course, my brother can definitely beat me now, too. So it turned out that it was true that she had smashed 3 tables. His wife's strength was a little too strong. It was different from what he had imagined. Point 2. In his opinion, everyone was at fault for what had happened at home. At that time, he wasn't by her side, and everyone said that he was right. However, in that family, it was likely that his wife had suffered more grievances. His parents had been biased since he was young, and this was something that he was very clear about. Moreover, Lin Lei wasn't close to them. Weren't they all pretentious and soft-hearted, too? Song Yi didn't realize that his heart had already deviated unknowingly. Song Yi said, "Then let's talk about it. Are you still going to get a divorce? If you don't feel good about consummating the marriage, we can delay it. After all, you're still young. We can wait until your birthday is over next year, too." The reaction on Lin Lei's face just now clearly showed that there was something wrong when she heard about consummating her marriage. She was still young, so she had to mature first. He was such a beast, too. When Lin Lei heard this, she thought about it. It was better than going back to the countryside. Divorce or remarriage in the 1980s would make people drool. Her predecessor's reputation was bad, and her predecessor had parents. She couldn't just ignore it. After transmigrating, she had to fulfill her duty as a child. First, you have to get my consent to consummate our marriage. Second, you have to protect me no matter what I do in the future. If you go against my wishes, we'll get a divorce. There's no room for negotiation in these two matters, too. When Song Yi heard this, he wondered why he felt like he had been abducted by his wife. 2. Forget it. He just had to stay here now. After the consummation of the marriage, he would act accordingly. Point 2. All right, I'll listen to you, wife. 2. Lin Lei looked at Song Yi's eyes that were full of sincerity, but in her heart, she felt that he was a black-bellied person. She had already proposed a divorce, but Song Yi did not agree. Point 2. Her body was fat, round, and not ugly, but she was definitely not beautiful. Even if she lost weight, she would only be average-looking. Point 2. In terms of looks, Song Yi was much better. Lin Lei did not know that Song Yi liked her to be round. After a long time, Lin Lei lost weight, and Song Yi kept complaining. But these were all future matters. Point 2. Then where will you sleep at night? Why don't you sleep in the room next door? 2. I think there's a single bed. It should be okay for one person. 2. When Song Yi heard this, he could not agree to this. He felt that if he went, it would be very difficult for him to sleep with Lin Lei. He looked at her disdainful eyes. No, if outsiders see this, how will they look at you and me? Don't worry, if I say I won't touch you, I won't touch you. Based on all these years, you have to believe me, too. When Lin Lei heard this, she felt that even if he wanted to, based on her own skills, she would not be at a disadvantage. So she tidied up the room and prepared to sleep. Point 2. Song Yi's heart was moving. He felt that Lin Lei had changed into a different person. She used to look at him like a wolf looking at meat. But now, he could not see that gaze in Lin Lei's eyes. There was an indescribable strangeness. Point 2. Upstairs, Wang Mei was coaxing the child to sleep. She lay on the bed thinking of Lin Lei, whom she had met this afternoon. She pushed Li Jian, who was beside her. Point 2. I sent some food to Song Yi's wife this afternoon. Do you think Song Yi will definitely be promoted this time? 2. Li Jian was in a daze. When he heard this, he was not very comfortable. They had both entered the factory in the same year. If Song Yi had not been promoted, it would have been him. Point 2. Of course, he couldn't say this to his wife. He didn't want her to think that he was bad. As a man with pride, he didn't want to continue talking to his wife. Li Jian said impatiently, "That kid is the best at flattery. He has a good relationship with the leader. Go to sleep now, too." Wang Mei was a little unhappy when she heard this. She was doing this for Li Jian. Bacon was a precious item. In their remote area, one could either go to buy meat by bus or go up the mountain to hunt collectively. Point 2. Li Jian was not popular, so he had never gone up the mountain. The main reason was that the two of them were too stingy. No one had the time to call them, too. Got it. It's better to deal with them early than later. Look at his wife. She's so fat. She doesn't come from the countryside. She speaks Mandarin very well. 2. Li Jian thought of Lin Feng when he heard this. He had actually dared to save someone under such dangerous conditions. If it was him, he wouldn't have dared. He had seen many people die like a lamp going out. The steel factory wouldn't give too much pension either. Point 2. She's Lin Feng's sister. Lin Feng died because of Song Yi, and his sister even married him. Li Jian felt indignant in his heart. He blamed Song Yi for being good-looking, and all the young ladies loved to look at him. Point 2. He went to the health center to get some medicine, and the nurse, Hua Song Yi, even asked about him. He was jealous and had never told Song Yi, and had always been perfunctory with that girl. Point 2. Lin Lei's neighbor didn't go to bed so early either. Suddenly was thinking about the bowl of rice. She wondered if Lin Lei would return it tomorrow, as her own family didn't have much rice either. Point 2. She thought that the family was so difficult because of her mother-in-law's domineering attitude. A man's salary was less than 30 yuan, and he would definitely send half of it back every month. She had just moved into the family building this year, as her mother-in-law was really torturing her at home. She hadn't even finished her confinement and had to work. Her son hadn't had a full meal since he had been weaned, too. When Sunli thought of this, she felt that she was happy now. After leaving that home, both she and her son had gained weight. Point 2. Lin Lei did not know about the affairs of these two houses. She was only worried about how she was going to sleep now. Previously, she had a fever and was in a daze. She did not know how she was going to sleep. It was early summer and the weather was hot. If they were not in the same room, it would be fine. However, if they were in the same room, how could they sleep in the same bed? If they were too much, it would be too hot. Point 2. Wasn't the man full of vigor, trying to seduce her into sleeping with him, too? When she thought of this, she missed the clothes and the space even more. Lin Lei tried to contact the space. The space relied on spiritual power. After contacting it for a while, she finally felt a trace of connection. In order to not let Song Yi discover it, Lin Lei quickly went to the bathroom. The space used to be a jade pendant. It should have shattered when she exploded. However, she remembered a ray of light after the explosion. She quickly checked her body and found a birthmark on her lower back that was exactly the same shape as the jade pendant. Point 2. Recalling that she used to hold the jade pendant and enter, Lin Lei placed her hand on the birthmark and muttered, "Go in, too." Lin Lei disappeared on the spot. The space was much larger than before. In the past, there were only a few hundred square meters to store things. Point 2. Now, she could not forget the end. If she listened carefully, she could hear the sound of water. Following the sound, she found a fountain in front of her. What a beautiful fountain. There was a small bamboo house behind the fountain. These were all things that had not been there before. Then, were the materials that she had collected before still be there? 2. Pushing open the door, there were all kinds of things on the bed. It was as if they had been prepared for this. What was going on? How did the space become like this, too? At that moment, a white light appeared. Many words appeared on the wall. Lin Lei read one line after another. After reading, Lin Lei understood. It turned out that the world was divided into many planes. Lin Lei's plane was only one of them. Lin Lei was the female protagonist of this plane. The female protagonist was in danger in the plane and could use her own energy to save the plane she was in. When the apocalypse broke out, there were many functions of the space, the most basic of which was cleansing the marrow and meridians. Point 2. In the previous life, the last incarnation obtained the space and used it to make herself beautiful. Point 2. The previous incarnation had liked handsome men and wanted to take in any handsome men in the apocalypse. Later, those who could not be offended were killed, and the jade pendant space fell into a deep sleep without its master in charge. Point 2. After several years of the jade pendant waking up, she had once again chosen the female protagonist, which was herself. She was in the apocalypse at that time. Point 2. The jade pendant had woken up, and it had no energy. She had only used it as a simple space to store resources, too. Seeing this, Lin Lei could not help but swear, "God, I'll spray you to death with a mouthful of salted soda. Don't tell me you want me to be the savior? I thought there would be no apocalypse after rebirth, but in the end, I have to experience it again, too." God did not hear Lin Lei's ridicule, too. She continued to read on. Space without power was only at the most basic level now. If she wanted to prevent things from happening, she had to level up the space. Leveling up required energy stones, too. What the hell was an energy stone? The space notification sounded. Space is a basic level random gift of a spirit spring, a large amount of land, and a spatial system spirit pet. Would the host like to activate a spirit pet? 2. Spirit pet? Space was too mystical. No matter what, it had been given it to her for free, and she did not understand the space at all. It was just nice to have a helper who could solve this urgent problem. Point 2. The space notification sounded. Because the host has taken for too long to decide, the space is chosen to activate by default. 2. Lin Lei had no words to describe this space. Point 2. Suddenly, it was under the light. After the light dissipated, a furry cat appeared on the ground. Point 2. That's right, it was a beautiful tabby cat. Lin Lei could not help but complain. What's the use of a cat? 2. Master, I can help Master take care of the space. Although I'm very small, when the space upgrades, my functions will also increase, too. Then help me take a look. Where did I put the things I collected in the past? Lin Lei had not forgotten that she had entered the space to look for things. Point 2. Master's things are all in the warehouse. I have records here. Master can see if there is anything that you need. Master can come out as long as you want. If you don't need it, you can just leave it in the warehouse. The system will sort it out automatically, too. Hearing the pet's explanation, Lin Lei recited the clothes that she wanted Fatty to wear. She had collected many things back then, so she had a rough idea of what they were. Point 2. A large clothes hanger instantly appeared. From underwear to outer clothes, there was basically everything here. This was much more convenient. She had collected them in the past and had not even looked at them carefully. Point 2. Lin Lei picked out a few clothes that should be worn in this era. They weren't too eye-catching, so she kept the rest in the warehouse. How do I convert this space and time to the outside world? Lin Lei hurriedly asked. She was afraid that Song Yi would be suspicious if she went out too late. Right now, she was just living with Song Yi. There was no need to say anything about the space. It was the same everywhere. Point 2. Master, a minute outside of the space is equal to 100 minutes in the space. Moreover, if Master is in danger, you can enter the space. The danger stays where it comes from. In the future, there will be some changes when you level up. 2. Lin Lei understood after hearing this. There was this function in the eschatologist space. It was because there were too many eschatology abilities, and they were especially afraid of mental power abilities. Lin Lei had been moving with the team, so she had not exposed the space. When she died, she did not remember because of inertia. After Lin Lei finished explaining things to the pet cat, she left the space and told the cat to come in later. She was needed to get back because she was afraid that Song Yi would suddenly come in and find that there was no one in the bathroom. That would be bad. Lin Lei finished changing her clothes and left the space. It was an old-fashioned floral short-sleeved pajama set. Point 2. Song Yi was already lying on the bed, but he had left more than half of the bed for her. Point 2. Song Yi saw Lin Lei come out. Did she take her clothes in just now, too? However, the clothes were quite nice, making Lin Lei look much more pleasing to the eye than before. After Lin Lei woke up with a fever, Song Yi found that she was more and more attractive to him. When Lin Lei lay down, she closed her eyes, but in fact, she did not sleep. It was probably very difficult to find energy stones. Point 2. The biggest problem now was to have money, but how to make money. In her relationship with Song Yi, how to resolve it, too. In her wild thoughts, Lin Lei fell asleep. After she fell asleep, Song Yi put his arm around her and fell into a deep sleep. Husband and wife can get along slowly. 2. The next day, Lin Lei slept until 6 o'clock, but found that Song Yi had got up early and left. Point 2. She was hungry, so she changed her clothes and came out to look at the table. There was warm porridge and some pickled turnip. Point 2. As Lin Lei was hungry, she was not polite and immediately ate up the porridge. The pickled vegetables were a radish mix and tasted reasonable. Point 2. It seemed that she should make some pickled vegetables and chili oil in the future. She was not happy with anything spicy, and it had been a long time since she had eaten authentic chili oil. Point 2. After eating, she cleaned up the house. Thinking of the rice next door, she went to the kitchen and took more bags to pack. Sister Sun was still okay. Point 2. She knocked on the door that Sun Li had opened yesterday. Point 2. When Sun Li opened the door, it was Lin Lei who smiled and said, "Can I come in? I brought the rice for cooking, too." Sun Li turned around and went into the house to get a cup of water. It had been a long time since there had been a guest in the house, so she was a little flustered. Point 2. Lin Lei wanted to understand the situation here as well, so she went into Sun Li's house. When she entered the house, she saw that the layout of the house was not much different. The only difference was that there were a lot more things than her house. She placed the things on the table. Seeing that Sun Li was busy boiling water, Lin Lei smiled and said, "Don't work too hard, Sister Sunday. I'm just returning the rice. We can just have a chat, too. It's okay. It's more convenient to use the gas stove here than at home. If this was in the countryside, you'd have to light the fire." Sun Li boiled the water. Looking at the bag that Lin Lei had placed on the table, it was obvious that she had given back more than she had taken yesterday. She was a little satisfied with Lin Lei. Point 2. "Sister Sun, how do we have to travel to buy things? Also, what's the price here?" I want to ask you about it, too. Lin Lei thought about the price of these things and thought it was better to ask Sister Sunday. When she had time, she would see what she could do to earn money point, too. When you go out to buy things here, you have to take a bus. The bus will come twice a day, 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Suddenly paused and said, wait for the bus to come back at about 10:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. If you can't make it back in time for the last bus at 4:30 p.m., you'll have to stay in the city. 2. As for the price, the grain can be more expensive than in the village. The rice is more than 20 cents, the corn flour is less than 10 cents, and the vegetables can be bought for a few cents. As for the specific details, you can ask the other girls yourself. The people selling things here are okay, but the girls do shop around, too. After saying that, Sun Li looked at Lin Lei with envy. Lin Lei didn't have children, and her husband, Sung Yi, was about to be promoted to deputy director. Her family was much better off than her family point, too. When Lin Lei heard this, she was glad that she didn't take out the 5 yuan yesterday. If she had taken it out, she would probably have scared the other party point, too. This big sister probably didn't have 5 yuan of rice at home either. She needed tickets and money to buy food. It was a bit like a limited purchase. Looking at the calendar at Sister Sun's house, it showed the current date. The cooking bowls and bowls at home were all bought. There were so many things to buy, too. After listening to most of it, Lin Lei bade Sister Sun farewell point, too. When she went back, she had to take advantage of Song Yi's absence to go into the space to take a look and see if there was anything in the space that could be used. It was also good to calculate what could be exchanged for money. Looking at Song Yi's small allowance, she could barely maintain food and clothing. She couldn't count on anything else. Besides, everyone was like this at the moment. It was already good enough to have a full stomach. Lin Lei returned to her room, plugged in the door, and silently said, return to space. 2. The moment the pet cat entered the space, it sensed Lin Lei's aura and rushed towards her point, 2. The pet cat used its body to rub against Lin Lei's push and sweetly said, Master, I missed you so much. Why do you only just come in, too? Lin Lei picked up the kitten with both hands and walked back to the bamboo house point, 2. I have to find time to come in. Do you have a name? Let me give you a name, too. The pet cat happily said, Master, I don't have a name. Master, please help me choose a name, too. Lin Lei pushed the door open and carried the kitten to the bed. She touched the pet cat and said, Are you a boy or a girl? The kitten's cute voice was like a girl doll point, 2. The kitten said shyly, Master, I'm a girl. The space is low level now. There's no way to transform. 2. It could even transform into a human. This was really not good. Upgrading the space was a big deal point, too. How about Xiaomi? Lin Lei touched the kitten and said, This cat is so soft. She had always wanted to have a cat in the past, too. The pet cat was touched and turned over. It replied lazily, Well, I'll listen to Master. 2. Then Xiaomi, what is an energy stone? 2. Master, come here. Xiaomi jumped down. She slowly walked to the bookshelf and picked up a green book, placing it in Lin Lei's hand point, 2. Lin Lei picked up the space upgrade guide written on the book, turned around, and sat down on the bed, reading it. Space was divided into 5 levels. It could be upgraded with blue, green, red, gold, and black stones. The so-called energy stone was the stone in the bottom layer. Wasn't that similar to jade? Then where could she find it? Earth was so big, and there were so many countries, too. Xiaomi sensed Lin Lei's thoughts and said, Master, if I sense the stone, I will tell Master. 2. Lin Lei raised her head in surprise and said, Xiaomi, can you sense my words? 2. Yes, I can sense Master's thoughts in space. Xiaomi looked at Lin Lei proudly point, 2. Lin Lei remembered that she had come in to look at the materials she had collected in the past. It was difficult to collect food in the post-apocalyptic era, and there was basically no food in space point, 2. Xiaomi, give me the list to see, 2. Xiaomi jumped out of bed and went to the bookshelf to fetch it. It was a big folder. Lin Lei looked through some of the clothes and weapons she had collected. The weapons from the apocalypse were no longer useful. Lin Lei took the opportunity to collect a batch of them. There was also some medicine and quite a number of antibiotics point, 2. But they're not for sale. The clothes need time. The drugs and the guns are too much. Linlei looked at Xiaomi with shining eyes. Point 2. Xiaomi, can you plant the land outside? And can the spring water wash the meridians? 2. Linlei was so excited that she thought that this body was very strong. If she would be baptized by the spring water, she should be able to go to the next level. If she could plant the land, the time here and the time outside would be 100:1. Anything would be fine. While Linlei was daydreaming, Xiaomi had already placed what she needed on the bed. Master, the spiritual spring is at the primary level now. It can wash away the toxins in Master's body and beautify her face. When she upgrades in the future, she can still maintain her youth and increase her strength, too. As for the land outside, it can be planted. Right now, the primary level can only be planted with vegetables and grains. It will mature very quickly. Master can plant it as long as you have the will to plant the seeds, too. Xiaomi thought for a moment and added, Master can eat things from the space for a long time to increase the spiritual energy. In the future, there will be all kinds of books to guide Master when the space upgrades. Linlei wanted to soak the spirit spring first. She would go out and buy the seeds later. Xiaomi, I'll soak in the spirit spring first. Help me sense the outside. If anyone comes, tell me to. Xiaomi used her claws to wash her face and promised, Don't worry, Master. I'll keep an eye on the house, too. Linlei took off her clothes and entered the spring naked. Her body slowly heated up, and black mud was expelled from her skin, too. After 6 hours of baptism in the spirit spring, Linlei's entire body felt comfortable. She wanted to stand up, but found that there was still mud on her face. What was that smell? So smelly, too. Linlei immediately plunged her head into the water and washed it, rubbing it several times. After washing it, she stood up and put on her clothes. She felt that her clothes had become much more loose. When she returned to the bamboo house, she took a look in the mirror. Her face had obviously shrunk considerably. Her face used to be big and round, but now it had developed into an oval-shaped face. Point 2. Her hair was also much darker than before. Upon closer inspection, the shape of her face was much more exquisite than before. Would Song Yi notice this when she went out? Who cares? If he found out, would he dare to do anything to me? 2. I'll just have a fierce fight and transmigrate here. I've never fought before. I wonder how good Song Yi is. Song Yi sneezed inexplicably. The scene of his little wife hugging his arm in the morning surfaced in his mind. Point 2. He instantly got up to react, afraid that his little wife would find out. He quickly got up and made breakfast, too. He didn't know what his wife was doing. The food yesterday was really delicious. He didn't know what she would cook tonight. After putting on her clothes, she turned around and said to Xiaomi, Xiaomi, I'm going out to buy some seeds to farm. All right, do you want to eat fish? Xiaomi's eyes lit up when she heard the word fish. She wagged her tail excitedly and said, Master, I can eat more fish. Master, you can buy more and put them in your space, too. Linlei nodded and silently said, Go out, too. She went out of the space and looked at the clock in the room. It showed that it was almost 9 o'clock. She hurriedly took the money and went out. She left a note for Song Yi and waited at the door for a few minutes before the bus arrived. Point 2. There were not many people on the bus, but the smell was still a little unpleasant. There was a very strong smell of oil. Point 2. Linlei realized that after soaking in the hot spring, her sense of hearing and smell had improved a lot. She could even hear the driver talking in front of her. It's time to get on the bus. A little girl with a small satchel shouted. Point 2. Linlei took out the money and asked, How much is it to get to the city, too? The little girl glanced at Linlei and said, 20 cents, too. Linlei took $1 from her bag and handed it over. The little girl gave 80 cents in change. The bus drove unsteadily. Linlei looked at the desolate road. It was remote after all. In the morning, she heard from Sunli that the county town ahead was called Zhou City. It was not big, but it had everything. Basically, it had everything that she needed to buy. After driving for almost an hour, they arrived at Zhou City. The first bus leaves at 10:30 a.m. Don't forget the last bus is at 4:30 p.m., sister, too. Linlei looked up. It was the ticket seller. She was only 18.2. Thank you. I think I'll be there at 4:30 p.m. too. After saying that, Lin Lei started to walk towards the exit. There was quite a lot of food on the roadside. Lin Lei felt a little hungry and looked at the roasted sweet potatoes in front of her. Let's sell the sweet potatoes, Grandpa, too. The old man didn't look up and said, 5 cents per caddy, too. Lin Lei looked at a couple of the sweet potatoes and said, Sir, can I have these two weighed, too? The man immediately raised his head when he heard this. After weighing the sweet potatoes, it was less than 2 caddy in total. He was hesitating whether he should add some more point too. Sir, there's no need to add more. Let me ask you something. Where can I buy more seeds? Lin Lei looked at the man. This sweet potato was not easy to buy, and life was not easy, so she did not care about the caddy. The grandpa looked at the girl in front of him with gratitude. He did not roast many sweet potatoes, and they were delicious enough to sell. If he broke them, it would definitely affect their appearance. Some people like to be unreasonable point too. He stood up and pointed ahead. See that road in front? Turn left at the end and walk straight for a few meters. There's a seed stand. Those things are all very cheap, too. Lin Lei looked at the road, put away the sweet potatoes, and said to the grandpa, Well, thank you, Grandpa. The sweet potatoes are delicious. I'll buy them again in the future, too. Lin Lei ate as she walked. She followed the direction the uncle pointed and found the seed station. The seed station was not big, and it looked like 3 houses. It was called Li Min's seed station. She pushed open the door and saw a woman in her 40s tidying up the counter. The woman saw someone come in and said, Sister, what do you want to buy? My house has every seed. There's a price tag under the seeds, too. 2 tails of each vegetable and 5 kilograms of corn and rice. Lin Lei counted the money in her pocket. She said that since the space could be used to farm, it should be able to keep the seeds point too. After the big sister heard Lin Lei's words, she quickly packed it and wrote the name of the seeds on the packaging point too. Miss who buys so many seeds. It was rare for the big sister to meet someone who bought such seeds, so she hoped to get an owner who would want more point too. Lin Lei saw that the big sister had unstable packaging. This method was really fast. I came from the factory and bought it to grow, too. Then I'll give you more cabbages. If you plant cabbages now, you can eat them in half a month. The big sister packed the things and handed them to Lin Lei point too. Lin Lei smiled. Thank you. I'll come back if I need anything. By the way, big sister, this is my first time here. Where is the market, too? The elder sister went out and pointed to the left. After passing through the alley, you'll see it. There are a lot of things sold there. There should be fish there costing 6 yuan, too. Lin Lei calculated in her head and paid the bill. She followed the path that the elder sister had pointed to. Seeing that there was no one around, she casually put the things in her space point too. There were a lot of things in the market. Lin Lei bought some peppers and cucumbers. Just like Sun Li said, she could buy a lot for a few cents. It was not easy to find a fish stall. The fish did not look big, and the big one only weighed 2 caddies. A man in his 40s was selling. He had his head lowered, and no one knew what he was thinking. He did not look like he was entertaining guests. It was probably because the fish were not easy to sell. Lin Lei asked, How much is 1 jean, too? The uncle looked up and replied, 15 yuan for 1 jean, too. Lin Lei quickly said, I'll buy them all. Will that be cheaper? They were meant to be kept in the hot spring. It was better to keep the space fresh point too. The uncle lowered his head and thought for a moment. 12 yuan for 1 jean. Is that all right? I'll weigh them. Do you need me to kill them, too? There's no need. I want them alive, too. The uncle lowered his head again and weighed the fish. He even put some water in each bag point too. The uncle lowered his head and estimated the bill. It's a total of 15 jean, 180 yuan, too. Lin Lei paid the bill and turned around to put the fish in the empty space. She was not hungry after eating 2 sweet potatoes, so Lin Lei went around for the ingredients to make the evening meal. She felt that it was about time, so she went to the bus stop and waited for the bus point too. Before she got on the bus, she looked for an empty place to take out some fish to carry home. When she went back, she was afraid that people would see it point too. The girl who received the tickets saw Lin Lei and nodded. I'm done shopping. My name is Zhao Li. I'm 21 and should be older than you, too. Lin Lei replied with a smile. My name is Lin Lei. I'm 18 now. In that case, I'll call you Sister Zhao from now on, too. Lin Lei quickly got into the bus and found a place by the window to sit down. The bus drove slowly. As she looked at the setting sun, she had some expectations for that small house point too. Song returned home early but found nothing. Looking at the note on the table, he read, "I'm going to the city. I'll be back at night." Lin Lei stayed too. Seeing that it was almost 5:30 p.m., Song hurriedly locked the door and went out to pick her up. The sky was about to turn dark. The city was so big, so it was best not to lose anyone. When the bus arrived, Lin Lei hurriedly got off. The smell of gasoline on the bus was too strong, and the road was bumpy. Lin Lei felt a little dizzy point too. Song saw that the bus had arrived and watched Lin Lei get off. She still had a lot of food in her hands, and he quickly went up to help carry the things point too. "Wife, why were you in the city? The last time I took you on the bus, I found you carsick. What kind of things are you in such a hurry to buy? What if you faint on the road, too?" Lin Lei was only focused on getting off the bus. She did not expect Song to come and pick her up. Looking at the man in front of her helping her carry the things, she felt inexplicably touched. Being in a strange city, having someone missing you. This feeling was not bad. Thinking about it, her head did not feel so dizzy. Lin Lei complained, "A few days ago, I got carsick from the bus ride. I thought it was because of a cold. Today, I found out that there was the smell of gasoline in the bus. The bus even bumped along the road, too." Song said, "How are you? Can you still walk? Why don't you come up and I'll carry you?" Too. Lin Lei hurriedly waved her hand. "No need. Help me carry my things. I'll go back and drink some water." Song held Lin Lei's hand. He felt that Lin Lei's hand was small and her skin was smooth. Why didn't he feel it when he shook her hand previously? Lin Lei felt that Song Yi's hand was very big. It was not that he had never shook hands with others before. In the past, when he shook hands with others, it was always a polite handshake or something like that. But today he was holding her hand. Yes, this was her man point too. In Lin Lei's eyes, Song was even more handsome at this moment than before. On the surface, Lin Lei was very assertive and manly, but in her heart, she also wanted someone to care about her point too. In the post-apocalyptic world, many men tried to be friendly with Lin Lei and gave her all kinds of things. However, there were not many who truly loved her. They were all full of schemes. If they did not scheme and only cared about her, their looks did not meet her requirements point too. Lin Lei had complained in her heart countless times that she was a beauty lover. Song was obviously a warm man. He knew how to cook and cared about her. He had handsome features. He was dressed so fashionably in such rustic clothes. Lin Lei suddenly decided that if he could pass her test, she would take Song in. She wanted Song to be inseparable from her and stay by her side for the rest of his life. "Look, is that Song in front of me? Who is he holding hands with, too? I think it's his wife. Unfortunately, I heard from others that she is not good-looking and is very fat, too." Lin Lei's hearing was much sharper than in her previous life. She could see people very far away, and Lin Lei heard what she said, too. If she was fat, she would lose weight on her own. Those two women clearly had sour grapes point, too. As she passed by the speaking crowd, Lin Lei deliberately moved closer to Song Yi's side. She used her eyes to glance at the two people. She could be considered to be quite good at dressing up. She was wearing a one-piece dress. In Lin Lei's eyes, they were completely dirt poor, too. The weather in the northeast was cold in the middle of the night. She was not afraid of catching a cold, but Lin Lei inexplicably felt sour. It was still the evildoer beside her that was too attractive point too. Song kept observing his wife. He was afraid that his wife would faint. He felt that something was wrong and asked, "What's wrong? Are you confused? I'll carry you back, too. It's okay. Let's go back quickly. I'm hungry. I'll make you some good food when we get back." Lin Lei looked at Song and smiled gently point too. At that moment, Song felt that Lin Lei was very beautiful. He had seen many women who were quite good-looking. However, none of them were as good-looking as Lin Lei's smile just now. This smile entered his heart. Song walked over with a smile. "Brother Song, is this sister-in-law, too? Hurry up and introduce her to us, too." Only then did Song notice that there was someone beside him. When he took a look, he realized that it wasn't a very familiar face. he said in an unsurprising manner. Who are you? When she heard Song Yi say this, Lin Lei could clearly feel that the girl's face was a little paler than before, and her expression was stiff. It was as if Song Yi had done something to let her down by saying that he didn't know her. F***CK. She was a little white lotus flower point too. Seeing that the white lotus flower was in a bad mood, Lin Lei's mood improved point too. She immediately decided to go back and make some delicious food to reward Song Yi. The white lotus flower sobbed, I'm Song Yi. I helped you bandage your arm when you were injured at the health center last time. Too. Don't you remember me? Too. After hearing what she said, Song Yi thought that there was someone who gave him an anti-inflammatory needle. And because she couldn't find the right place, she had to give it twice point too. His blood vessels were so easy to find. Wait, don't let your wife misunderstand too. Song Yi hurriedly replied, Oh, I didn't remember. This is your sister-in-law, Lin Lei. We are in a hurry to go home and cook, so we're going back now, too. Song Yi was so angry that she stomped her feet and said, Brother Song, goodbye, too. Lin Lei looked at Song Yi, who was in a hurry to pull her away, and the warmth in her heart gave him an extra point. Song Yi opened the door and entered the room. He said considerately, Wife, wash your face first. I'll go and cook, too. I'll go to the bathroom to wash my face first. You don't have to cook. Wash the rice and steam it first, then I'll kill 2 fish, Lin Lei said as she walked into the bathroom point 2. Nurturing a husband was not like letting him do nothing. It was not right to blindly like him. When a man was willing to do something for her, she would quickly let him do it. Habits became natural point 2. Lin Lei entered the bathroom and gently locked the door. She turned around and entered the space. Xiaomi saw Lin Lei wagging her tail. Lin Lei smiled and squatted down. I'll cook some fish for you later, too. Xiaomi happily circled around and shouted, Master, make more. I want to eat a lot of fish, too. Lin Lei used her mind to transform into a bathtub and soaked in the hot spring for half an hour to roast the fish. When she was collecting supplies, she had also stocked up on some kitchen supplies. Now, it was easy for her point, too. She could control the fire with her mind. This small independent space was a small world, and it was all dominated by Lin Lei's mind. It had to be said that this space was a heaven-defying existence. First of all, the fish was not killed. The ingredients were ready. The main reason for boiling the fish was that it was easier to use the knife skills to cut the fish meat when it was cooked. If it was too thin, the fish meat would scatter when it was put into the pot point too. To prevent the space from being exposed, they could only semi-cook the product here and finish it in the kitchen pot point too. Lin Lei took the spiritual spring water and added it into the pot. She changed her body through the spiritual spring. She hoped that Song Yi could also use the spiritual spring to change his body. When he passed her test, he would tell him about the matter of the space point too. As for the matter of transmigration and rebirth, she would not talk about that. After all, Song Yi married Lin Lei because of the death of his former brother point too. If he knew that his brother had died because she had not taken good care of him, he would definitely feel guilty for the rest of his life, too. After all, the outbreak of the apocalypse was an unimaginable thing. She was also afraid that she would not be able to explain how it all happened point 2. As for the reason why the original owner, Lin Lei, did not live with Song Yi in his previous life, what could be the reason? Forget it. After all, everything would change after he transmigrated. First, she prepared to cook the fish. Then, she made a serving of spicy boiled fish. Then, she made a serving of braised fish for Xiaomi too. After making 2 servings of fish, Lin Lei said goodbye to Xiaomi. Xiaomi did not even raise her head to look at her, too. She had stayed in the space for more than an hour. It had only been a few minutes outside. It was really nice. Lin Lei walked into the kitchen and saw Song Yi killing the fish cleanly. There was an old saying that a man who would work hard in the kitchen would love his wife point too. Song Yi, just put the fish in the basin after you kill it. By the way, can you eat spicy food too? Song Yi cleaned the fish in the basin and said, Yes. Do you want to put spicy food in the fish stew too? After the fish was cleaned, Lin Lei reached out to take off Song Yi's apron and put it on herself point too. No, you'll know when the time comes too. Lin Lei closed the kitchen door and waved her hand to put the fish that Song Yi had slaughtered into her space. After the fire was started, she placed the finished soup in the pot and the sliced fish on the chopping board. After boiling for 10 minutes, she fished out the fish head and bones from the pot and put the fish meat into the soup. After boiling it, the fire could be turned off and the fish meat would be cooked. The cooked fish and soup were poured into a large basin and sprinkled with dried chili and shallots. Point 2. A pot of hot oil was burned and poured on top. Immediately, the kitchen fragrance assailed the nostrils. He could smell the fragrance from outside. It was because he had never smelled it before. Lin opened the door and shouted, "It's done. Hurry up and help me carry the things." 2. He stood up from a chair and went to the kitchen to take a look. It turned out that his wife had made a famous Sichuan dish, boiled fish. A basin of red fish meat looked very appetizing. After arranging the things, he looked at his wife, who was sitting across from him, wiping her sweat with a handkerchief. He felt that something was different about her. Her face was obviously thinner and not as round as before, and her skin color was even whiter than before. At a glance, she looked much more beautiful than before. Song Yi's observation was clearly more meticulous than the average person's. Ever since Lin Lei had woken up with a fever, she had changed a lot. Not to mention her previous personality, but now, her appearance had changed. Just this Sichuan boiled fish did not seem like something that she should know how to cook. Looking at the slicing of the fish fillets, this knife technique would take years. Point 2. However, as long as Lin Lei did not want to talk about it, he would not press on and wait until she wanted to talk about it. She would take the initiative to tell him. He believed that he would find out sooner or later. Lin Lei looked at him sitting at the side and looked at the table. She did not eat with her chopsticks. Her thin lips curled. "Darling, what are you thinking about when you eat?" 2. "Oh no." Speaking in such an intimate tone, he would not mention anything, right? He quickly said, "This is something that a relative once came to my house as a guest to teach me how to make. Have a taste." "How does it taste?" 2. After hearing his wife's words, Song Yi realized that he had lost his composure just now. He immediately picked up a piece of fish and put it into his mouth. The fish meat was smooth and succulent. The spicy taste was strong, but it was very appetizing. Point 2. Song Yi swallowed the fish meat in his mouth. He said excitedly, "It's really delicious. It's so refreshing. It's been a long time since I've eaten such a delicious dish." He picked up another piece of fish and put it into his mouth. He added, "The factory also has Sichuan fish. They've made this dish before. The food they make isn't as fragrant as yours. They just make it too spicy, too." Lin Lei looked at the man who was eating happily in front of her. She was very happy in her heart. Women all hoped that when they cooked their own dishes, they would be acknowledged by others, especially by the person they liked. Seeing that Lin Lei did not eat the fish, Song Yi directly picked up a large pile of fish and placed it in Lin Lei's bowl. He picked up the fish head and ate it, afraid that Lin Lei would not be willing to eat it. Seeing Song Yi's actions, Lin Lei was very happy. This idiot was very good at taking care of people. After eating a bowl of fish, Lin Lei did not want to eat anymore. Looking at Song Yi, she picked out the fish bones and chili and gave him the rest, too. He ate until his head was covered in sweat. The buttons of his clothes had already been unbuttoned because it was too hot. His 8-pack abs were covered with a fine sweat. Lin Lei suddenly felt her face become very hot, too. This man was really a monster. She really wanted to pounce on him. She needed to calm down. Lin Lei got up and went to the kitchen to pour herself a glass of water. Song Yi could tell what Lin Lei was thinking from her facial expression. He was charming in front of her. He got up and tidied up the table. He took the bowls and chopsticks to the kitchen and started washing them. Lin Lei sat at the side and watched Song Yi's performance with satisfaction. She knew that the man who took the initiative to work was not bad. "I like to eat. I'll do it again next time there's fish. I'll make more Sichuan fish. I'll make some fish balls and meatballs for hot pot, too." Song Yi was washing the dishes in the kitchen. Thinking that it was a good thing that she did not hear about the divorce, he insisted on taking Lin Lei out. Point 2. When he received a telegram from home saying there was a problem with the production line, he returned home. Point 2. When he returned home, his mother was crying and crying. His father just sat there and smoked nonstop. His sister chattered nonstop while his sister-in-law added bits from time to time, too. It was a good thing that he persevered. just like when he ran out to look for a job when he was 15 years old. He had the right idea, then. Point two. Linley was very good. She was not as lazy as his mother said, not as greedy as his sister said, and not as awful as his sister-in-law said. 2. What he saw was that the house was very clean, and they got along very well with the neighbors. Song, he was once again glad that he persevered. If he had heard about the divorce back then, he would not be as happy as he was now. 2. Song Yi's thoughts were not heard by Lin Lei. If she had known, she would have said directly, "Can a person with a different soul still be the same as before?" If she had not worn it, with the temper of her predecessor, it would be enough for Song Yi to drink a pot of wine. Song Yi finished cleaning up the kitchen and came out. He looked at Lin Lei, who was reading under the light. Her hair fell over her shoulders, and her hands flipped through the book from time to time. Point two. She was holding an apple in her hand. Did she take a small bite? Her pink lips opened and closed. Point two. Song Yi suddenly wanted to do something. By the time he regained his senses, Lin Lei had already been forced to lean against the wall by him. Lin Lei was eating an apple when she saw Song Yi walking over. Lin Lei picked up another apple on the table and stood up to pass it to him. She looked at Song Yi's loose clothes. His dark, hot eyes looked at her, making Lin Lei forget what she wanted to say. Point two. Song Yi took a step forward, and Lin Lei took a step back. She couldn't take another step back. She looked at Song Yi up close. His eyes were very beautiful. They were a pair of phoenix eyes, and they were staring at her without blinking. Lin Lei was at a loss. What was Song Yi going to do? While Lin Lei was in a daze, she felt a biting pain on her lips. Would this guy kiss her? It was too painful, too. Just like that, she was kissed by Song Yi. Her lips still felt pain. Fortunately, after kissing for a long time, he slowly relaxed, and her lips didn't hurt as much. Wife, be good. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, too. Hearing a low voice coming from above her head, Lin Lei subconsciously closed her eyes, too. After kissing for an unknown period of time, Song Yi felt that his wife was going to be out of breath. Only then did he let go of her hands. Point two. At that moment, his wife's eyes were blurred, and her entire body was weak as she leaned into his arms. Her small face was slightly red. Song Yi really wanted to continue, but he was afraid that he would provoke his wife. Point two. Wife, do you still want me to continue, too? Lin Lei finally took a breath. Continue what? I wanted to give you an apple just now, but you turn out to be so bad. 2. Song Yi picked up his wife and took a bite of the apple in her hand. Point two. Wife, it's so sweet. I like it very much, too. Lin Lei was so angry that she stomped her feet. It's the apple that's sweet. I gave you an apple, but you're really bullying me. 2. Lin Lei did not realize that her voice was more coquettish than angry, too. You're my wife. If I don't kiss you, why would I kiss someone else? Song Yi's eyes flickered as he acted shamelessly. Point two. Next time, you're not allowed to kiss me before I agree. You have to respect me, too. After saying this, Lin Lei quickly ran back into the room and closed the door. The way she ran away, too. When Song Yi was chatting and laughing, everyone said that a man had to take the initiative when it came to such things. It seemed to be true. Thinking back to the soft feeling in his mouth, just now, his wife's body had a faint fragrance. Her chest was very soft, and it felt really big. His lower abdomen quickly reacted. It looked like he needed to take a cold shower. Point two. He had to use all his strength not to eat his wife. She had to be willing to lie under his body. Now, he could only take a cold shower. When Song Yi thought about it, he realized that his body was getting dirtier and dirtier, too. Song Yi had no choice but to take a shower in the bathroom. 2. Lin Lei went back to the room and lay on the bed. She kept patting the bed with both hands, saying, "How could I let him kiss me? I'm on my guard, too." And was the heat all over her body unsatisfied with her desire? If Song Yi hadn't said that, would she just have let him eat her, too? Don't think about that monster anymore. Go to sleep. Yes, go to sleep. Just pretend that it didn't happen. Yes, that's right. After 2 hours, Song Yi had finished showering. He came back exhausted and saw that his little wife had already fallen asleep. Point two. After the shower, he felt much more relaxed. He couldn't say what it was, but it was as if his body had discharged everything that was unnecessary. He looked at the time and realized that it was already past 11 o'clock. He quickly went to prepare breakfast for his wife the next day, before he got into bed. Point two. Lin Lei moved a little and conveniently moved towards Song Yi's embrace. Lin Lei had a habit of sleeping. She leaned against something to sleep and leaned into Song Yi's embrace to fall asleep. Poor Song Yi had just taken a cold shower, but it was all for nothing. Her body was so soft in his embrace, and the feeling of her chubby body was very good. Point two. He had no choice but to hug Lin Lei tightly and not let her move around. Song Yi finished cleaning up the kitchen and came out. He looked at Lin Lei, who was reading under the light. Her hair fell over her shoulders, and her hands flipped through the book from time to time. Point two. She was holding an apple in her hand. Did she take a small bite? Her pink lips opened and closed. Point two. Song Yi suddenly wanted to do something. By the time he regained his senses, Lin Lei had already been forced to lean against the wall by him. Lin Lei was eating an apple when she saw Song Yi walking over. Lin Lei picked up another apple on the table and stood up, ready to hand it to him. She looked at Song Yi's loose clothes. His dark, hot eyes looked at her, making Lin Lei forget what she wanted to say. Point two. Song Yi took a step forward, and Lin Lei took a step back. She couldn't take another step back. She looked at Song Yi up close. His eyes were very beautiful. They were a pair of phoenix eyes, and they were staring at her without blinking. Lin Lei was at a loss. What was Song Yi going to do? Song Yi kissed her just like that while Lin Lei was in a daze. Her lips still felt pain. Fortunately, the kiss lasted for a long time. She slowly relaxed, and her lips didn't hurt as much. Point two. Wife, be good. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Two. Wife, do you still want me to continue? Two. Lin Lei finally took a breath. Continue what? I wanted to give you an apple just now, but you turn out to be so bad. Two. Song Yi picked up his wife and took a bite of the apple in her hand. Point two. Wife, it's so sweet. I like it very much. Two. Lin Lei was so angry that she stomped her feet. It's the apple that's sweet. I gave you an apple. You're really bullying me. Two. Lin Lei did not realize that her voice was more coquettish than angry. Two. You're my wife. If I don't kiss you, why would I kiss someone else? Song Yi's eyes sparkled as he acted shamelessly. Point two. Next time, don't kiss me before I agree. You have to respect me. Two. After saying this, Lin Lei quickly ran back into the room and closed the door behind her. The way she ran away, too. When Song Yi laughed and chattered, everyone talked about this kind of thing. He had to use all his strength not to eat his wife. He had to make his wife willingly lie under him. Now, he could only take a cold shower. When Song Yi thought about it, he realized that his body was getting dirtier and dirtier, too. Song Yi had no choice but to take a shower in the bathroom. Two. Lin Lei went back to her room and lay on the bed. She kept patting the bed with both her hands, saying, "How can I let him kiss me? I'm on my guard, too." And was the heat all over her body, unsatisfied with her desire? If Song Yi hadn't said that, would she just have let him eat her, too? Don't think about that monster anymore. Go to sleep. Yes, quickly go to sleep. Just pretend that it didn't happen. Yes, that was it. After 2 hours, Song Yi had finished showering. He came back exhausted and saw that his little wife had already fallen asleep. Point two. After showering, he felt much more relaxed. He didn't know what to say, but it was as if his body had discharged all the unnecessary things. He looked at the time and realized that it was already past 11 o'clock. He quickly went to prepare breakfast for his wife the next day, before he got into bed. Point two. Lin Lei moved a little and conveniently moved towards Song Yi's embrace. Lin Lei had a habit of sleeping. She leaned against something to sleep and leaned against Song Yi's embrace to fall into a deep sleep. Poor Song Yi had just taken a cold shower, but it was all for nothing. Lin Lei felt so hot when she slept. When she opened her eyes, she realized that she was sleeping in Song Yi's arms. Occasionally, she would not sleep well. She did not expect that she would sleep well last night. She slowly tried to move. She was almost there. Point two. Suddenly, Song Yi opened his eyes and looked at Lin Lei with his dark eyes. Lin Lei sensed danger and quickly wanted to get up. Song Yi flashed and pressed Lin Lei under him. The two of them looked at each other, and neither of them was willing to admit defeat. Wife, Why are you rubbing against me so early in the morning? Are you blaming me for not continuing last night? 2. Lin Lei's face turned red. You're talking nonsense. When I saw you hugging me, I was afraid I would wake you up if I moved, and I didn't want to disturb you, too. Song Yi smiled. This smile was so devilish that she wanted to pounce on him and punish him on the spot. Point 2. Why did it feel like Song Yi was more seductive than the night before? 2. He used to be very handsome, but his skin was too dark. Looking at it now, it looked a little wheat-colored. Could it be because of the spiritual spring? Last night, did you take a shower? Lin Lei asked tentatively. Point 2. Yes, I took a shower for a long time. Wife, were you waiting for me? 2. Song Yi looked at Lin Lei at a close distance, and his breath blew on Lin Lei's face. Lin Lei's eyes flickered for a moment, and Song Yi caught it. Song Yi did not point it out. Anyway, Lin Lei would not harm him. If she wanted to tell him, she would tell him. Point 2. To love someone, one had to at least trust them. To be suspicious of each other was to hurt each other. Lin Lei blushed and pushed Song Yi away with all her strength. Song Yi was almost pushed down too. His wife was really strong. His skills were quite good, and he was almost pushed to the ground. Are you okay? I want to make breakfast. You lie down for a while, too. Lin Lei ran away with a red face. It was too dangerous to stay here. She had been a little absent-minded when she saw Song Yi just now, too. She went into the kitchen to make porridge first. She had bought a lot of things at the market yesterday, and it would be fine to mix some side dishes. Point 2. She took some peppers and fried them with oil. Point 2. She patted some cucumbers, mixed them with a sweet and sour taste, and cut some radishes to give them a spicy flavor. Point 2. After Lin Lei finished cooking, she shouted into the house, "It's time to eat." 2. Song Yi hurriedly came out to carry the food. Looking at the 2 side dishes on the table, they were much more fragrant than the ones he mixed himself. Eating the porridge and the dishes, Song Yi looked satisfied. Lin Lei looked at Song Yi and asked, "Is there any prey on the mountains nearby, too?" "Yes, when we're free, we'll go and hunt together." Song Yi took a sip of porridge. "Tomorrow, I'll take a break. I'll hunt some rabbits. We can improve our lives, and it'll be good for your health, too. Bring me along. I want to take a look." Afraid that Song Yi would not bring her along, she quickly said, "I can protect myself. I definitely won't give you any trouble, too." Song Yi originally did not want to agree, but when he thought his wife's strength, it was indeed not to be underestimated, so he nodded and agreed. Lin Lei was very happy. She immediately picked up some food for Song Yi and placed it in his bowl. Song Yi had planned on having the 2 of them up the mountain tomorrow, just in case something dangerous happened. Point 2. Can you get some flour? I bought some celery yesterday and want to make dumplings tonight, too. Lin Lei wanted to express her gratitude to Song Yi for agreeing to take her up the mountain. Point 2. Song Yi asked, "How many caddies of celery do you have, too?" Lin Lei thought about it, but wasn't too sure. She thought for a while and said, "I think it's more than 3 caddies of celery, too." Song Yi nodded. "Make another cabbage filling. I'll invite 2 people for dinner tonight. I'll send the meat and noodles back at noon, too." Lin Lei looked at Song Yi. "Okay, are we only eating dumplings, too?" Song Yi put down the bowl. "Just mix 2 more of these side dishes, too." Lin Lei nodded silently. Now she would have to prepare everything earlier in the afternoon. In a while, she would enter the space and plant the seeds that she had bought. Otherwise, she would not have any vegetables to eat. Moreover, she could sell the seeds for money. Everything required capital. If only she had known earlier that she would be reborn. I would have put some gold and diamonds in my space. In the apocalypse, no amount of gold and diamonds could buy me a bag of instant noodles, and there would be no place to throw them away. Breakfast was over. Song Yi took the initiative to wash the dishes, then said goodbye to Lin Lei and went to work. There was a meeting in the morning, so he had to leave early. Point 2. Seeing that Song Yi had left, Lin Lei locked the door and immediately entered the space. "Xiaomi, come out too." Xiao and Mai heard Lin Lei running out. "Master, you finally came in. The fish yesterday was so delicious. When did Master cook it? I really want to eat, too." Xiaomi's typical foodie nature was completely exposed. "Xiaomi, be good. There are many things to do today, so we will do it next time. Today we have to plant the land. Time is limited, so you can't disturb me, too." Xiaomi lowered her head and felt wronged. All right, master, do more next time. The owner can plant with his mind. There is no need to plant the land. This will save a lot of time, too. Lin Lei silently planted the corn, and the seed disappeared. Looking at the land in front of her, it automatically planted point two. The rice and vegetables were planted in turn. Because of the spiritual energy in the space, they sprouted in the blink of an eye. Lin Lei once again sighed at the heaven-defying nature of the space. She was fortunate to have a point two. If I don't have time to harvest it, what should I do, too? Xiaomi wagged its tail. If Master doesn't harvest it, it will grow here. The space has a fresh-keeping function. 2. Lin Lei was relieved. Thinking of the filling of the dumplings, she remembered that the space seemed to have a blender. She willed the blender to break all the vegetables. Since she was treating others to a meal, Lin Lei didn't add any spring water. If others found out, it would be bad, too. After leaving the space and putting the filling away, Lin Lei started to tidy up the house and put away the things that needed to be washed. Fortunately, the space appliances were accurate, so she only needed to bring the washing out point two. After washing the things, she looked at the time and saw that Song Yi was coming back. She didn't know if he had eaten yet. Lin Lei thought about it and brought out a portion to give to Song Yi point two. Now, she knew what to eat and what to do. She thought of Song Yi. This feeling was very subtle, as if they had known each other for a long time point two. Was it possible? Many years later, Lin Lei felt that she had guessed the truth from the beginning, but she just didn't want to believe it. She washed the cabbage first, and then fried it with the meat. After steaming the rice, she thought that after she'd bought some eggs, she could make scrambled eggs. When she heard the door open, she knew that Song Yi was back. He was sweating profusely and carrying a bag in his hand. She took the bag from Song Yi's hand and asked, "Have you eaten?" "I've cooked your rice, too." "No. After eating your rice, the canteen will be pig food," Song Yi said with a smile point two. Lin Lei was very happy when she heard this, so she brought the dishes out. Song Yi was in charge of carrying the bowls and chopsticks. The two of them formed a tacit understanding. Because he had something to do in the afternoon, after eating, Song Yi rushed to work. Lin Lei mixed the noodles and started to wrap the meat at around 4 o'clock. When it was almost 6 o'clock, Song Yi came back with his men. They were two tall and thin young men. They didn't look very old, around 20 years old. The one on the left is called Wang Ming, and the one on the right is called Chun Bing. Song Yi introduced them, and everyone nodded in recognition point two. Song Yi walked to Lin Lei's side. "This is your sister-in-law, Lin Lei." 2. "Hello, sister-in-law." The two of them shouted at the same time in a very loud voice. This was a habit that they had trained for many years point two. Lin Lei pointed at the stool. "Both of you sit down. I'll make the dumplings now. There will be food in a while." Lin Lei turned around and went to the kitchen to make the dumplings. She listened to their conversation. Song Yi said, "When the dumplings are ready, you guys eat more. I have enough dumplings for you." 2. Lin Lei cooked the dumplings and mixed 2 large plates of side dishes. 200 dumplings. They really can eat. Lin Lei complained in her heart, too. As she watched the two of them leave, they rubbed their bellies. It was really spectacular. Lin Lei wondered if the dumplings were that delicious. After Song Yi had sent them off, he entered the house and said, "They praised you all the way. Our house is the best place for us to treat them." He took a sip of water and continued, "In the past, there were new family members who treated us to a meal. However, everyone ate too much and it didn't do well. It even affected the couple's relationship." 2. After hearing this, Lin Lei understood. In this era where food and clothing were scarce, they really couldn't afford it. If they gave others more food, their own family members would eat less. If their wives and children were still hungry, it would definitely affect their unity. What time do we go up the mountain tomorrow? This was what Lin Lei was thinking about. She had to figure it out before she went to sleep point two. Tomorrow, we have to go before dawn. I'll call you then. As long as you can get up, you can come, too. Song Yi thought to himself, tomorrow we'll hunt more prey so that we can get some things at home and buy Lin Lei some clothes. I haven't given her anything decent yet. This made him feel very guilty. A virgin daughter had followed him and come to such a remote place to suffer.